Welcome back everyone to episode 4 of our play-by-email series on Advanced Tactics Gold. The first thing you're going to notice right away, besides that the front is filled out a little better, is we have spotted for the first time a unit of our opponent. And this is going to draw our attention to an unfortunate situation for the game, which I didn't know about, but we were able to work through. It's going to be fine. Unfortunately, you can see the template type of your opponent's units. So I talked to my father. He's able to see that this is my 3rd recon, and he sees the Jeep icon. The same way that I'm able to see this is his 13th Rifleman. And even this is just giving away so much information. I know that he probably has 12 other Riflemen. Now that's not a huge surprise. I myself have I'm up to the 19th Rifleman, and we have more or less the same production, so it's not surprising that we have the same. It's just that if I know his unit type, his template type, if this had been like the 19th, I would know for sure he has at least 19 Riflemen. So he called his the Rifleman. It's very obvious what this unit is. It's just 30 rifles. That's the same thing as my infantry. So how do we work around this? Well, we basically just decided to make all the unit templates across both armies completely uniform. So whenever I see his infantry symbol, it's true. I'm going to know that that's 30 rifles. But in fairness, he's going to know that my infantry icons are also exactly 30 rifles. So we're just dealing with things in the best way we can. The fact that this is revealing more information than we'd like just means that we've made things uniform so that doesn't really tell you too much. Basically when we attacked or when through the course of the war, I probably would have been able to figure out exactly what his unit template was anyway. And that would have probably eliminated the min-max after a few turns. But this does just immediately eliminate any kind of min-max efficiency advantage you might try to gain by setting up your unit templates in a specific manner. It does mean also that you can't counter, that neither of us will be countering the other's template design, trying to exploit some little thing. Basically, we're just going to deal with we'll just pretend that the higher-ups have established these templates for us, and that's what we're going to work with. So that's the same thing with production, basically. We had the uniform production, with the one exception being that I had created armored cars and some Jeeps, and he has been building light armor, which is something we're both aware of as well. So that's the first thing I want to talk about, just that if you're going to play a game, multiplayer game, you will be able to see the other person's table of organization and equipment. It's unfortunate, but these models are not hidden from your opponent. There's probably a mod out there, or at least I hope there is. Maybe if somebody even recommends it in the comments, that would be great if it exists. But to hide this information so that you can use templates and not be worried about them being seen. But we've worked around it for this, so it shouldn't be a problem. So other than that, you can also see that my front line is very well fortified, and I'm kind of in position. I'm about where I want to be for the start of this war. I'm going to start in the south and work my way north, and just showcase the different aspects of my front line. In the south, remember I originally was saying like 10% in the south, 80% in the middle, and way up north another 10%. That was an exaggerated number just to give you an idea of how extreme I wanted to go. Probably, if we look, it's something more like 20-60-20. But that's still 3-to-1, middle to south, and we can see that this is more or less like 3 times stronger than the units down here. What I'm doing in the south is just holding the obvious key defensive points. Obviously, holding this east side of this river/stream is going to be my main defensive position. I have this Jeep out here. He can't go any further, unfortunately, without running out of supplies, so that's why he's stuck there. But basically, I don't need him to go any further because he's already able to scout the front, and we don't see any units here. More importantly, there's no roads coming out of Soligen that would attempt to supply any units in the front. Now, mind you, I had to build a road north from Engels into the suburban hex here in order to be able to supply the guys over here. So I do have units on the front, which would be visible. If he had units in the same positions I have them, I would be able to see his unit with my unit. However, that's just obviously not the case. And I don't see any road building from him, so he wouldn't be able to supply those units anyway. Long story short, I don't suspect that he's going to be attacking in the south. At least he hasn't showcased or broadcast any kind of road building that would support that. So an engineer can build 3 or maybe 4 hexes on a turn. He hasn't done any of that, so there's no reason to over defend the south. So what I have right here is already probably enough, and I don't want to commit any more forces because I'm quite worried about taking the middle, which is where my main push is going to go. So if we can save 1 or 2 more troops and put them in the middle instead of having them in the south, I would prefer to do that. Okay, this engineer, let's see, was coming down to build this road. Actually, this is going to cost 100. I think since I'm not going to need to build a road, I was considering to build a road out of Kazimov, just 1 hex, so that I can supply this unit in the front. But it's not necessary. A higher priority is actually going to be just, I'm going to upgrade these oils. So it's something to do with my political points. So I'm going to move this guy back, build an oil here, and this unit is going to go upgrade the oil down here. So we'll get him over there. Okay, let's look at the middle. So I'm very well manned in the middle. The typical hex I have set up, my typical strike force, you could say, is 2 regular infantry, a machine gun, and for the ones that are going to lead the assault, I have also an assault division. These are all supported right now by artillery. So we're missing artillery here because this is my mechanized reserve point. But the artillery is not going to move forward with the 4 other infantry groups or the 3 other infantry groups. They're just there right now because I want them as far forward as I can. Right now I'm still waiting a hex away from the front to prevent me from being scouted too well. So he knows, I don't know exactly what information he has, but he was able to see at least the blank units here, and I'm not sure if he can see the blank units for these hexes. Does Swamp give hide points? It does, so probably he can't see them here, but maybe he can see these 4 that are blank. We just talked about that because we were talking about the division markers, if you could see the counter types. So all I know is that he can't see this, but I can see this. And we still don't see any other units over here ourselves. We would definitely be able to see them. If our reconnaissance is over 20, I'm positive that we'd be able to see. So we can't see any other units, and that's a bit surprising to me. Anyways, war is probably in 2 more turns, so I'm going to wait 1 more turn before I move all my units to the front because I just want to hide my hand for as long as possible. Okay. Now, that all being said, you can see that I'm really ramping up for a big attack. The big surprise is that he is not manning the front. I've thought a lot about this. What could he possibly be doing instead? But because if it was me, even if I was not attacking through the middle, I would be defending it so that I could hold this oil. The more you think about it, though, this oil is not too important. I was able to check that all of his other oils are upgraded. So they're all oil level 2. Which means that he's actually 1 oil up on me. So he's doing 750 better than I am, because upgrading from level 1 to level 2 puts you from 250 to 1000. That basically means that he's at 5250 right now. If he loses this, he only goes down to 5000. It's really not that significant. And gaining a level 1 oil doesn't really mean much because it only goes up by 250. The same argument. So maybe it's kind of a smart thing not to defend this oil. However, I would prefer to defend this area because, well, I don't know. I don't know what he has in plan. So it made me think about, if I do move in, my units won't be entrenched. It opens them up for a counterattack if they move forward. What if he's just anchoring at some points here and he's going to counterattack? So I'll have to be really cautious, and I'll be using my scouting force to try to prevent anything like that happening, any kind of surprise counterattack where I totally get botched. So I'll probably move this Jeep up as well and make him part of the yellow headquarters because, again, I don't see any attacks coming out of this area. And the scouting information is probably going to be more important with the push that heads north. Again, he's going to have a sign of roads moving forward before we can attack. So that should be our indication. So I'll probably move this Jeep. In fact, let's just do that right now. Let's send him like this and just make sure that he's in supply here. He is. So let's move him forward like here. Oh, good. And that actually gave us some scouting information that he is defending at this raw. That's not too surprising. One, it's a raw. And although raws aren't that important, it's a very good defensive point anyway because it is in the mountains, the hills. So this is obviously very good defensive terrain. We ourselves are already using it for a defensive position currently. Okay, so that's interesting. So he does have some units forward. I'll continue to ponder this off camera, but that's enough about it for now. So in the north, we really don't have much. All we're doing right now is building a lot of roads. But these roads are actually going to be our defense. And let me explain. So first of all, I'm building a road right here just to connect here. This path, this highway, is going to be my quick reaction force highway for armored cars. You'll notice that I have 3 armored cars sitting here. Now I think at least 2 of them, at least one of them, probably 2 of them, is going to move to the front and start assisting with this forward push. But I'm going to leave 1 in reserve as a quick reaction force to head backwards along this highway over to protect this oil and raw. The same thing I was talking about in the south, out of Solingen towards Kazimov, is true over here in Barnstad, going to my oil and raw, my resource area. They haven't built any roads, and we know that Barnstad, if they don't build any roads, their units will be really heavily out of supply as they approach the front. First just a little bit out of supply, but these 2 hexes, which I probably can't see, these 2, are going to be the most out of supply if they try to sit there. So what I'm saying is basically this. I don't think that they have any units forward right now because they would be out of supply and that would be a waste of supply. They'll also have to telegraph by building a road at some point if they're going to attack. And that just means that when they do that, I'll be able to send my quick reaction force north to defend the key points here, which is probably just this oil and maybe this raw. Even I'm trying to build a road backwards for my engineers here because I think I would actually have Zhukov, my Supreme Headquarters, be the direct headquarters, the direct defender of this area. What I'm saying is the units in this area that I would put in defense would probably be directly under Zhukov's control so that my blue headquarters can stay forward. Now, to that point, I'm going to have this engineers build a road here and here. He'll eventually connect this with the raw as well. I'm doing this just so that my blue headquarters can continue to move forward. So basically, if this attack goes well, I'm going to need my headquarters to keep pushing up behind them, but they always have to be on a road in order to be connected for reinforcements from my Supreme Headquarters, because that one has to use all of its trains, but it can't use trains if I'm not on the railway. So just need to stay on the railway with my main headquarters, so I have this engineer who builds the roads. Now, because I'm not expecting an attack in the north, I don't really have that many units in the north. I still have this guy scouting. We have decent scouting. If they had a force here, we'd be able to see it. If they had a force here, we might be able to see it. In fact, can I move? No, I can't move there because I'll be out of supply, so I'm not going to. But I suspect we'd be able to see at least a counter. I'm not sure about that. Okay, I'm really not sure about that. This guy gives pretty good recon, but it's still a forest X. Anyway, I haven't seen them move any units forward recently, and they would be out of supply. Again, just to point out, they would be out of supply if they were anywhere over there. So that would be a waste on his part if he was hiding a unit there. At the same time, because I wouldn't suspect it, it would be a pretty good move. But anyway. So I'm moving this road forward just so the blue headquarters can move forward this way. And again, the road back here is going to allow Zhukov to move up if they do in fact invade in the north. And for the final time, I'll just mention that without building roads forward, I'm just not suspecting that kind of attack, especially because they'll be incredibly out of supply the moment they cross this stream, which puts all eyes back forward on this middle area. It seems like I'm making the right decision to just pump a ton of forces forward. And again, I'm going to do more of that this turn. So you can see by their readiness that they just got filled this turn, these blue units. So we're going to move those forward as well. I thought I had one assault. I do. There it is. So we'll move this assault. Oh, he can't move all the way forward yet, but that's fine. We'll get him here. He's going to move forward. He's going to be part of the assaulting front. Basically, I have 3 groups. Well, this one will eventually have the assault group as well. With 4 infantry groups ready to attack. Probably only 3 of those will be used in the attacks, or maybe even less. Just remember that I have to deal with the attack stacks limits in the end. So if my entire hex was attacking for all the different hexes, we'd put ourselves over, I'm sure. So we'll have to be a little careful about that. But yeah, I feel really confident. I'm really excited to get this series going, and that's what's lined up next. So basically off camera, I'll probably just move the rest of these guys forward. I mean, this is kind of obvious. I'll move some of these guys to the front over here. I'm not planning on pushing any further past these defensive positions. I might even pull some of these guys back out of these defensive positions. Maybe, maybe not. Just depending on what I see out of Barnstad. Maybe I'll send my Jeep across. No, then he'll be out of supply. But I'm going to keep shifting him just so I can get the best scouting information on this area that I can. And if I don't see any attacks coming, we'll leave the north and we'll leave the south very undefended. So just pretty much exactly how they are is how they're going to remain. And then I don't really know what else to say, so I guess I'll call this episode to a close. Stay tuned for the next episode. Is going to be the last one before war, or maybe even the first one of war if I'm the person to declare war. But stay tuned for that. I hope you're excited, and you can see that the videos will be coming up a lot faster now. And until then, I'll catch you in the next video.